Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Power Vacuum. I'm your host, Belmont. Properly doing my video this time. Sorry, my seat's shifting. And today I am coming at you with a little bit of interesting news about Borderlands. This time, the announcement for Borderlands 4, which is slated to come out next year, 2025. And I've got the game trailer here up from Borderlands YouTube page. No sound because I believe they've got copyrighted music in there. But let's go ahead and take a quick look at this. Gearbox software. Oh, the last time I saw 2K and Gearbox on a screen, it wasn't good. And they used this exact image, I believe, in the movie. Here you go. Here we have what I think is Pandora. Kind of looks like Pandora. Flying through space, hitting some sort of crystal barrier or something. I'm not sure if this is just aesthetics or if this is going to be part of like a barrier around whatever planet this is. You got stuff crashing here. And look at that. A little hand's going to come up and reach out. And seeing this right here, like, look at how well rendered this is. Look how polished these graphics are. Like, look at that. You can see some reflections. You might be able to zoom in and see, like, there's a face, arm, and a body of the person who's holding the mask. And it just looks really nice. It's 3D graphics. It's not your standard wish list now. It's not your standard this right here. Your cel shaded graphics that you normally get. When you're looking at this, it's definitely high resolution, probably 4K or whatever it's supposed to be 4K. It's a bizarre looking creature. Or robot or whatever it is. Or maybe it's Zero's mother. I don't know. Just throwing out some wild guesses. But, it's 3D graphics. And over here on the newsletter or the newsroom, 2K officially announced it yesterday, August 20th, 2024. Borderlands 4 is coming in 2025. Definitive looter shooter and latest entry in the genre-defining Borderlands franchise officially announced. New York, August 20th. Today, 2K and Gearbox Software officially announced that Borderlands 4, the next entry in the iconic looter shooter franchise, will launch in 2025. Let me pause for a second. Is anybody else kind of annoyed that headlines and the first sentence of like every story now have the exact same wording? It's just kind of bonkers. This isn't the exact same wording, which it shouldn't be because this is kind of a press release, not an actual like news story. But when you read news stories now, it'll just be like, man shot in Kentucky convenience store. First headline, right? First sentence, man shot in Kentucky convenience store. You're like, oh my God, why are you repeating yourselves? But I digress. They announced it during Take-Two's fiscal year 2026. Will come out on PlayStation 5, the PS5. Yes, people know that. You do not need to abbreviate PlayStation 5. Okay. Xbox Series X and S and PC through Steam and Epic Games Store. It is available to wishlist now. Just a little quick side note. You'll notice that Borderlands isn't worried about Steam sales because they're selling it through Steam and the Epic Games Store. So I'm not sure what the big deal about Steam was the other day. Borderlands was announced at Gamescom opening night live with a teaser trailer providing players with their first tantalizing glimpse of an all-new planet. Borderlands 4 is the fourth mainline title and seventh overall entry in the franchise. Players will once again assume the role of the legendary Vault Hunter as they search the secret alien treasure while blasting everything in sight. The team and I at Gearbox have a lot we've wanted to do with Borderlands since we first introduced the looter shooter genre to the world with our original game, said Randy Pitchford, founder and president of the Gearbox Entertainment Company. All of us at Gearbox have massive ambition for Borderlands 4 and are putting everything we have into making everything we love about Borderlands better than ever before, while taking the game to new levels in exciting new directions. I hope so, because Borderlands 3 kind of sucked, dude. It was... I once saw like a 4chan post that perfectly explained the problem with Borderlands 3. And it's that it just had tons and tons of filler, like audio, dialogue, whatever you want to call it. Where like a character would be like, hey, I need you to go pick up this power converter so we can upgrade your car. And instead of just saying that, as most games would, they'd be like, hey, buddy, I know you're really good at killing things, so I need you to go out here to kill some things over near the power plant, because the power plant has these power converters, which I totally need, and I would like you to get those power converters, the ones I totally need, because you're really good at killing things, and there's going to be a lot of things that need to be killed, so you can get those converters, because I have this really good idea that I could use those power converters that I totally need to soup up that vehicle that you like to drive. You like driving, right? You want to drive and have a better vehicle? I'm going to need those power converters. It's stuff like that. I'm obviously being hyper exaggerating in the way they talk, but every line of dialogue in Borderlands 3 was just packed with unnecessary wordage. And I hope they get away from that. I feel, I think they say it here. Borderlands franchise has sold more than 87 million copies to date, receiving critical acclaim from reviewers and fans alike. With unforgettable characters, deep world building, and more unique guns than can be counted, the franchise has cemented itself as a must-play series. How many games are there in total? Most successful franchise ever and beloved millions globally. Whatever. I know there's 4 main title games, and I think there's 3 Telltale games, or 3 chapters in the Telltale game series about Tales from the Borderland. But out of the 4 main titles, and that's Borderlands, Borderlands 2, Borderlands the pre-sequel, and Borderlands 3, I think it was like a steep climb. Like 1, really good. 2, equally as good. For me, 2 kind of was where the peak was because of the sheer amount of content. They had just enhanced the things in 1 that I had liked. They had introduced a fair amount of new characters that I thought were interesting. Although the soldier, Axon, I think it's Axum or Axon. I can't remember. I never played him because I started 1 and I was like, this is kind of like a watered down version of Roland. I'm not really into it. I think I put the most hours in Necromancer. Probably like 200-300 hours in Necromancer alone. Probably 1,000 hours in the game total. And it was just, it peaked for me. I thought the pre-sequel was kind of the beginning of the downslope. And 3 just kind of accelerated that downward slope. I'm hoping that they're going to, have like a wave function where 4 increases and begins a new upslope. I'm not certain, but it seems like the timing of this announcement is very interesting. At first I was like, oh, maybe they're announcing this to try to distract from the horrible, horrendous movie that they just released. Don't see that, by the way. It is absolutely terrible, bad, trash, garbage. Get a thesaurus and look up the word bad and see how many different versions you can find. They all apply to this movie. Like, it's barely a movie. It's not entertaining. It's not. I have a whole review about it. It's just bad. It's a bad experience. It's a bad movie. And I was like, okay, they're announcing Borderlands 4 to either distract from people or to like draw heat away from the movie. Either way, they want you to think of the game when you talk about Borderlands. They want this to pop up on the search engines instead of the movies. This is their SEO attack. But then I watched the trailer and I was like, well, this trailer is very refined and polished. So they had this loaded and ready to go. And I think initially they were going to release the movie. They were hoping it would do really well. Then they would piggyback off the movie and be like, oh, also Borderlands 4 is coming out. But now that the movie is crashing and burning harder than the Hindenburg, they are using this as a distraction piece. So I think it was like a double-edged sword. Like they had originally, well, not even, I don't know what you would call it, two sides of the same coin, maybe. They originally wanted it to coincide with the movie, but now they're using it to distract. I don't think it was their original plan, though. I think they wanted it to be like, here's the movie, here's the next game, we're having a great year, and they're not having a great year, so they're like, don't talk about the movie, talk about the game. Either way, it was a brilliant move by Gearbox and 2K to release this when they did, because it has changed the dialogue around Borderlands from the terrible movie to the upcoming game. And just this right here, I find very interesting that they already have the cel-shaded graphics. So, yes, they're announcing for 2025. This game might be nearly complete if they've already announced that. They didn't give us a release date. It's just a window, which is, a whole year is a big fucking window. But it's something to brace for. Like, they might be like, I expect this, if they want it to do well, it's probably going to be a end of summer release. That way, it'll still be kind of fresh in people's minds when the Game of the Year awards roll around. And it'll have given people enough time to assess the game. Unless it's a stinker, and they know it's a stinker, they're going to release it probably in early October, late September, so that it comes out right before the Game of the Year awards, so it's fresh in people's mind, and they haven't had enough time to grow to hate it. I don't know. I hope the hate from the movie doesn't carry over to the games. I hope the game itself develops more than the way they developed 3. I hope the dialogue is better than it was in 3. I hope the story is better than it was in 3. Basically, like, I don't know. If they pull off a Diablo 4 where they're like, hey, we know 2 was the good game, so our 4th installment is going to be a bunch of callbacks to the 2nd because our 3rd one didn't do so well with its own story. We'll see. I mean, only time will tell with this. But as I previously stated, these 3D rendered graphics in this trailer show me that they've had this locked and loaded. They did not crank this out in 2 weeks since the movie release. And it wasn't like, oh, the movie's doing bad, quickly make a 3D fully rendered trailer good to go and get it out there and on the web. Because if they did make this in just 2 weeks, then 2K Games in the wrong business. They need to stop making games, and they need to start making 3D movies for people, or 3D cutscenes and stuff. Because if they crank that out in 2 weeks, they could make billions doing other people's videos with work that polished that quick. But I don't think that's what happened. I think they had this ready, and they saw an opportune moment to distract. Can't talk. It's late. I apologize. But they saw an opportune moment. Fuck me. They saw the opportunity to distract people from their movie. And they did. And it's working. So, bravo, 2K. Good job on you. Hopefully you get this kind of hype. Hopefully the hype that I've seen in the past 24 hours will stay and maintain. And you'll just keep putting out more stuff that makes me want to play this game. But that's all I have for this video. Belmont out.